Today's episode is sponsored by our friends at Famous Faces and Funnies, located in Melbourne, Florida. Check out their Facebook live auctions on amazing deals on comics, games, and action figures. And of course, our friends at Docking Bay 94, located in Boca Raton, Florida, shipping nationwide. Hello and welcome to another exciting episode of Codename New2Vero2. Hi, I'm your presenter, Shabu Are You. Now, we haven't done a monthly comic books pickup episode. Last week I was dealing with my finger being broken as well as my travels to Toylanta. So that kind of took a back step as far as picking up the books. Now, if you're new to this segment, basically I recapped some of the books that I picked up during the course of this month. And since we recently had free comic book day this past weekend, I thought this would be a good opportunity to showcase some of the books that I picked up in the past month or so. Now, again, this is not all modern books. Like usually I like to mix a little bit of the old and new and things that I like to add to my PC. Now, what's advantageous is you guys see the books and eventually you'll see them during our graded comic book unboxing. So you could kind of see the journey. It's also good, especially for us fellow Gen Xers, maybe these books will catch your interest and be like, hey, I didn't think of that. Or maybe I should pick that one up as well. It's all good fun, and anybody could chime in the comments below about any of these selections and, maybe point out some books that I should look into or consider in future polls. It's a community-based show where there's no real agenda. It's just pure fun and entertainment. So with that aside, excuse me, it's been a long day. Let's dive into the books I picked up. Here we go. Now, being that this is primarily a G.I. Joe comics YouTube channel, even though we haven't been recapping any of the modern IDW, comics and waiting for the new publisher of G.I. Joe to be announced. And a side note, we know that Larry Hama has completed up to issue 305. So there is 5 more issues that's going to continue to the story, which ended at issue number 300. So anytime now, we're going to get the big announcement. I have a feeling it's going to be around Joe Fest. So that's going to be really exciting. So with that aside, the first book I picked up is G.I. Joe issue number 63. Now, my regulars may be asking themselves, hey, wait a second. Didn't we already feature this issue and we saw the PGX graded one? And the answer to all that is yes. But if my regulars know that one of the things I spoke about is what's in the bottom corner. Now we have a first print newsstand of this iconic Mike Zeck covers. Now recently I did a top 10 episode where 5 issues I featured various G.I. Joe comics or issues that kind of caught my attention. Now, those were like the usual suspects: issue number 1, issue number 21, issue number 155. But there are several amazing covers in the G.I. Joe Marvel run. This one would be ranked right up there. I mean, it was tough just giving 5 G.I. Joe. And on a side note, our good friend, A Real American Brian, I tagged him to do his top 10. So I'm going to put a link and check out his channel and his top 10 comics. It's basically a YouTuber to YouTuber challenge where they have to pick the 10 best or 5 best issues that are significant to them. And now, I don't know about you, but I always like watching other people's top 5 or top 10. More so than my own stuff, because it gives you that sense that yeah, that book is cool, or oh, I didn't think of that one, or something like that. I love watching other people's top 10. So going back to this, we got the PGX issue graded. Now, what's interesting, this is a second printing. There were 3 prints, with the more than fun, the third print being the actually more sought after and more scarcer version of this issue. So second print, not so much, but the third print is the one to get in issue number 63. So I will pass this on to another G.I. Joe collector. So if you want, check out my Facebook page, and then you'll see a link to get this issue. Well, it will not be expensive. I just want someone to enjoy this issue as much as I did, because I am going to get this one, which is a beautiful upgrade. There is no tick marks on the side. I mean, this is going to be a high 9 grade, so I'm looking forward to doing that and having this on display, taking this other one's spot. So G.I. Joe issue number 63. Alrighty, so the next book we're going to showcase is, are you ready? Alrighty, so it's going to be Amazing Spider-Man issue number 129. Yep, this is the first appearance of Punisher. And no, this is not the actual one. This is the new facsimiles of iconic issues. I'm a big fan of these, as my regulars know. Recently, I got an Amazing Spider-Man issue number 1. Now, obviously, there's no way in hell, when you're a grown-up adult with a mortgage and bills and all this other stuff, there's no way I'm going to allocate, the thousands of dollars to get this issue. So the practical sense, and by all means, I mean, there's no need to spend that much money, to be able to enjoy such iconic issues. That's what makes these such an excellent option. And I opted with the EGS custom labels on these. I did that with this Amazing Spider-Man number 1, as well as Superman number 1. And believe me, these are eye catchers. When I have guests come into the house, and I have these actually out in my living room. So when guests come through the front door, they look to the side and they'll see these on the bookshelf, and it's hilarious how they'll do a double take. Even the casual novice person knows the significance of a Superman issue number 1 and a Spider-Man issue number 1. And when you combine that with the EGS labels, I mean, it is just a beautiful decor, I should say. And yes, they do have some monetary value. I mean, this book in this grade is probably $70, but that's not the point. It's just being able to own Amazing Spider-Man number 1 and Superman number 1. And Punisher and Ghost Rider is right up there. So this is actually going to be sent off to EGS for grading. And on that same note, I picked up X-Men number 1 as well. Again, Marvel and DC, they do such a wonderful job presenting these, verbatim copies of these iconic issues. And they are beautiful to get graded using EGS. I prefer EGS on these over PGX or any of this. I like both, but just that custom label for these iconic issues, it's amazing. So X-Men number 1 and Amazing Spider-Man number 129. Excellent options for those that are real fans of this hobby. The next book I want to showcase, again, G.I. Joe and Transformers is a Gen Xers, that's Star Wars, G.I. Joe, Transformers, Masters of the Universe, Voltron, Robotech. I mean, those are the franchises that we all love to this day. So I've been actually picking up more of the Transformers Marvel run. And this is the first appearance of Omega Supreme in Transformers issue number 19. And what a wonderful cover. This is another this is a Herb Trimpe one, I think. Yeah, this is a Herb Trimpe cover. It screams Herb as soon as you see it. And the same goes for Transformers issue number 25. Another Herb Trimpe cover. And it just, Herb and these two franchises goes together like, chocolate and peanut butter. So I'm so glad I was able to pick these two up and to add to my Transformers Marvel run. And again, I'm actually getting in, like, since G.I. Joe is on downtime, I've been getting more into the Marvel Transformers run. And boy, it is a lot of fun. And I talked about how as adults you could revisit some of these amazing runs like the John Byrne She-Hulk and this Transformers. I was not a regular. I would pick up an issue here and there, but not a continuous reader of the Transformers comics. So it's good to do that. So with those, the next one is actually a surprise. And this is why it pays to spend the time to go through back issues and look at stuff. Now, as I was flipping through, I went to visit my friend John at Docking Bay 94 down in Boca, and he's like, "Yeah, talk small shop." And then I went and started diving into the back issues, and I was, doing that, like going through them, and I noticed like a scribbling on one particular comic, a whole comic, and of course, even the novice person knows that Peter David is synonymous with the whole Hulk run. So when I saw this, I was like, this can't, and it was $5. And I was like, this can't be right. Now, look at this really close. Make sure to get that glare. Now, I'm going to pull up Peter David's signature right up here. Now, I asked our good friend Chris from Comic Tropes, as well as some other, I asked John as well when I was checking out. And he's like, yeah, it looks like a Peter David signature. He's like, I didn't see that, and I pointed out to him, and he was like, you know what? Regardless, take it. You're my friend. I value you, and what you do for my store, and especially during COVID. That was the thing. I think doing those online sales to help your local LCS stay afloat, and that's just how it is. You put out good karma and you'll get it back. And I just want people to really understand that. I wasn't expecting that. And I pointed out, hey, I think this is a Peter David signed issue. And I got the confirmation that, yes, indeed, this is a Peter David signed Hulk issue. So, wow, what a treasure. I mean, you talk about, like, I'm still like, I cannot believe I got a Peter David signed Hulk issue. So that is amazing. Now, we got to jump from Hulk to another character, kind of like that whole Ragnarok type of vibe. And again, I was looking in the back issues, and I found this. Thor issue number 144. Such an amazing issue, and just a wonderful cover. This battleground Earth and for Asgard, just a wonderful Jack Kirby cover. I could not pass this up. And of course, being a regular with Docking Bay, John was nice enough to hook me up with an amazing price on this. And I've been trying to pick up like older comics. They might not be keys, but they were always done by the legendary team of Stan Lee and Jack the King Kirby. It's really important to me, and I'm enjoying picking up these, silver aged comics. Golden age is beyond me, but just the silver age comics. And I really love this cover. So stay tuned. We're going to see the clean and press. So this is before you could see, it's a little bit dark. It has the white background. That's always tough. So I'm expecting probably around a 7 or an 8, to be honest with you. But I think that it could be with the good clean and press from our friends at PGX or EGS. So I'm looking forward to sending that in. And on that same thought process, we have Tales of Suspense featuring Captain America and Iron Man. So we all know that in the MCU, these guys have graduated. Chris Evans, Robert Downey Jr. It remains to be seen if they will come back. And I have a feeling that, if you drop a little coin in front of their face after a while, they probably will come back at some point. And they'd be stupid not to, you know what I'm saying? You only look that way for a certain amount of time. So you might as well, hit that gravy train and, pull it out another wonderful MCU movie. But again, the whole Nick Fury, Captain America, Iron Man, and Tales of Suspense issue number 92. Such a great cover as well. I thought that this was just the bee's knees, and I was so happy to be able to pick this up as well. And the next book we're going to feature is, my regulars know that I have a guilty pleasure of Jim Balin's artwork. It all started with revisiting those 90 Catwoman runs. So I talked about how John Byrne, going back to revisit his work in the She-Hulk, is something that I highly recommend. The same could be said with Catwoman. I think the Catwoman in the 90s, Jim Balin, and I've been saying this a million times, rightfully should have been considered alongside the Jim Lees, the Rob Liefeld, and the Todd McFarlane. But because of his I guess individuality, he never compromised or sold out. So you kind of tip your hat to guys that stay true to themselves. And you may disagree 100%, not agree 100% with their line of thinking, but at the same time, you could actually respect that, So his independent work has been Tarot Witch of the Black Rose. So issue number 139, and the cover should basically speak for itself. And but I enjoy the stories here as well. I like the sword, the sorcery, that whole world, and it's like the Ozzy Original Sin cover. It's kind of reminding me of that type of artwork. So we got issue number 138 of Tarot Witch of the Black Rose, and then issue number 139 of Tarot Witch of the Black Rose. So a guilty pleasure as getting those. And in the same line of thinking, my regulars know that I've been picking up the Lady Death. So this is the next installment of Lady Death. And like I said, it's not like 1 through 100 with how this whole series goes. It usually goes like by story. So it'll be like issue 1, issue 2 of this arc, and then it'll go on to issue 1 of the next arc. It could be 3 issues, it could be 2 issues, but basically that's how Lady Death is. It's kind of tough to pick up the middle and the middle act and go forward, but eventually it's just best to just dive in and just go with it. So we've been doing this for a couple years now with the Lady Death series, and I find, again, Brian Pulido, I think that's his name, his artwork is also amazing. He's a heavy metal guy. He likes rock and roll, so I kind of like his taste in music, and I like his artwork as well. So this is Lady Death, issue number 2 of Necrotic Genesis. So that's this current arc. So this is issue number 2. That should complete this arc. So next month will be another issue number 1 of 2 or 1 of 3 of the next story arc. So we're going to actually jump into I started having the Amazing Spider-Man on my pool, as my regulars know, and I've kind of had, it's been kind of like an up and down, like going back regularly reading Spider-Man. I'm far behind, I mean really far behind, but the whole Ben Reilly being turned into a baddie with Chasm, and then there's the Goblin Queen and Hallows Eve. So there's been a lot of key villains added to the Spider-Man Rose Gallery, and I think that row gallery. But anyway, I think that it's kind of like you get all these new characters, but it's like throwing spaghetti at the wall. Whether they stick or not going forward remains to be seen. But I know in this run, at the end of the last run, there were a lot of new firsts, and it's kind of like maybe I'm not heavily invested in the story, but at the same time, I know that I could revisit it, and there's going to be hopefully a lot of key components to the Amazing Spider-Man. Now, with that said, I am far behind, so this is a great opportunity to show you the covers. And again, one of the reasons why I got back into Spider-Man is because John Romita Jr. is back doing the artwork for, and John Romita Jr. and Spider-Man, besides Mark Bagley, I think, I mean, those two modern artists are like perfect for Spider-Man. So that's kind of why I reinvested into this recent run of Amazing Spider-Man. So with that said, we have issue number 19, and we know that Spider-Man and Mary Jane are no longer together. He made that deal with Mephisto, so going back to that, it's still carrying on. So he's back, like kind of single and dating again. So he's on a date with the Black Cat. So Black Cat's interest has spiked as far as her first appearance. Speculation if she's going to be in the Sonyverse. So that's all kind of coming together. So issue number 19, and this is the cover for issue number 20. I think that's beautifully done. The snow and them, I think John Romita did a good job on that one. Then we have issue number 21. Like I said, I'm far behind. And then this is the cover I really liked. Issue number 22. Now look at that cover. That is a cool ass cover. I like that a lot. I want to know who this is. What's this all about? So I got to, maybe tonight, if my Sixers aren't playing in the playoffs, I think I might sit down and indulge on some Spider-Man. Issue number 23, and then issue number 24. So that wraps up the Amazing Spider-Man. And again, like I said, I got a lot of reading to do, so I'm looking forward to that. A nice, couple hours diving into that, so that's something to look forward to.
Alrighty, so after a change of clothes, since we are dealing with over 2 months of pickups, let's continue on. Now, the next book we're going to feature is kind of interesting, and a lot of fellow Gen Xers might not be aware, but there's a small independent company called Bad Idea that a lot of these modern comic kiddos, it's quite the rage. It's interesting, and it's actually interesting in their marketing strategy because this is a company that has open and closed several times as part of their kind of gag. And they have unique offerings in the sense that, excuse me, you have to know exactly to be at the right place at the right time to get these limited books. And they'll include a comic with the donut, like such zany, fun stuff. It's all just it's actually really cool. And so lately they decided to once again reopen, and they're selecting a few local LCS, local comic shops, to distribute their comics in a little greater quantity. And one of those comic shops is none other than our good friends at Docking Bay 94. Now, my regulars know that Docking Bay, John, wonderful operation, but it is a small comic shop and located in south of Florida. I think it's wonderful that they've been bestowed this opportunity to sell Bad Idea comics. And so obviously I didn't have any experience with this company, so I took advantage of it and picked up a few books. They released 7 titles, so they're going to basically have I think maybe 2 or 3 cover variants for each of the 7 titles. The first book I picked up is called Orc Island. And right off the bat, boy, did this scream attention. And you don't have the title anywhere on the cover. So it's like you're just going purely on the cover art. And you can see right here, it is quite interesting. Like, you know, Orc Island, you got a female orc here and leading the charge. So naturally, you're kind of like intrigued on what goes on. And all of the back of their books have this bad idea. The artwork is, and the paper quality is absolutely phenomenal. So I've read a little bit of this so far, and I need to finish it because, you know, my 3-issue rule is in effect. I always give everything 3 issues before I pass judgment on any said comic book or any series. So I'll have to go back and pick up issue number 2 and 3 of this Orc Island issue number 1. But again, the paper quality, I mean, going by this alone, you don't think they're a small company that has this gag of opening and closing every few months or several months or so. So this is like a 5-star operation. The paper quality even surpasses Marvel and DC. This is top level shit here. And again, like I show you, the artwork in this is absolutely phenomenal. So this is Orc Island issue number 1. The second bad idea book I picked up is called They Are All Terrible, issues 1 and 2. So look at this artwork. So this is the first, is this the first? Yeah, this is issue number 1. And then this looks like a Alice in Chains album. So I gravitated towards this first, and then I went back and picked up issue number 1. But right away, this shot to me like an Alice in Chains album cover. So, and here's the back of that book. Again, the paper quality and the black is tough, and it has like little perforated splashes on the cover. I mean, it's tough to see on the camera, but once you see it, like, you know, tilted into the light, you'll see like it's a little bit of glossy black splashes along with the matte black finish. But once again, the artwork is absolutely breathtaking. I don't know any of these people. I don't know nothing. And I love that. I love that being, you know, a Gen X, someone in my, you know, my 40s, going back into comics. This is all brand new. I have no misconceptions, nothing. It's just straight up, I'm basing upon my first read. And it's really cool to be able to do that in 2023. So, I mean, it's gory as hell. So, these 2 titles look really promising. So, if you're able to, do a little research about Bad Idea. I know I'm giving you like the nutshell of it, but it is really interesting. It's an interesting case study, actually, if this will work, because but what's cool is they're being uniquely themselves. They're not copying Marvel, they're not copying DC. They're doing their own thing. And again, you got to tip your hat to any company that's willing to, you know, change the status quo. So I'm giving Bad Idea the chance. So these 2 Bad Idea comics, Orc Island and They Are All Terrible. Okay, so the next pickup is another interesting story. You know, Scott Snyder has been synonymous with Batman, and you know, he's been doing this Batman the White Knight type of DC Black special editions. But at one time, he was the regular writer for the Batman, the normal regular Batman series. And so a lot of his books are actually pretty expensive when you're trying to do, you know, some research as far as his era of Batman in the regular run. So I was able to pick up 2 of the Scott Snyder Batman runs, and that's Batman issue number 19, and also Batman issue number 20. So it's kind of like, I haven't really dived in, but it's kind of like, of course, the old duality of Batman and Bruce Wayne kind of at ends with each other. And so I'm interested to see, like, you know, his writing style, because I've read several of those White Knight, Batman White Knight series, and they're really interesting, but those are like Elseworld type of storylines. So this is the main continuity of Batman. So I would like to kind of like get a better sense of Scott Snyder as a writer. So these two are good, I guess, doorsteps in order to sample that. So Batman issue number 19 and 20. Okay, the last batch of books, again, is continuation of more Batman goodness. And this one, like I said, the Bad Idea one kind of reminded me of an Alice in Chains album. This one is a straight homage to NWA, Straight Outta Compton's album cover. So in this Deceased War of the Undergods, look at that cover. That is straight up Straight Outta Compton. So I had to pick up this because I was a big NWA fan growing up. I mean, it's kind of weird. I would listen to like heavy metal and then as well as NWA. So I'm so glad to pick up this album. This comic. The next book I picked up is Batman 441. It's issue part 6 of the Lonely Place of Dying storyline, where we have the introduction of Tim Drake as the new Robin. And I thought this would be a key issue. A Lonely Place of Dying issue number 1 is actually the first Tim Drake appearance of Tim Drake. And then I think part 3 of the 6th run is his first putting on the Robin suit. So with the Damon Wayne being in the DCU of the Peter Gunn thing, I have a feeling that Tim Drake is going to have a significant role as kind of like the Robin that's been there, done that to Damian Wayne. So I have a feeling that now is a good time to pick up the Tim Drakes. And historically, you know, all else being equal, Tim Drake was probably the best Robin. He was one of the best detectives. And this is something that Dick Grayson even acknowledged. So Tim Drake was actually the best Robin of all the Robins. You know, you have Dick Grayson, Jason Todd, Tim Drake, and now Damian Wayne. So I think that has some significance and some merit to it to pick up anything with Tim Drake in it. So that would be a top tip for all my regulars out there. And the next book, we're just going to keep going along, is another Batman. So Batman issue 131. I don't know much about it, but I know that it has something to do with the Court of Owls and this character. I don't know if this is the first appearance of this person, but I know that this cover has some significance to it. Again, when I read this issue, I'll have a better sense. But initial, you know, you get some type of vibes when you go into comic shops. It's one of those few places still left where you could window shop, and like we used to do with Blockbuster Video, like the cover is the biggest selling point to all of this. And for some reason, this cover, I was like, this looks like something interesting. So Batman issue number 131. I don't know anything about who this is or what, but I'm assuming it has something to do with the Court of Owls. And we all know that the James Gunn DCU and the Robert Patterson is going to lead to some aspect of the Court of Owls. So I think that they're just, you know, we have few years before the part 2 the Robert Pattinson Batman, but then it also we're a few years away from whatever incarnation the James Gunn DCU has for Batman. I mean, Flashpoint is coming out next month, so the foundation or the wheels are going to starting to go as far as what's Batman going to be, because we know it's not going to be Michael Keaton as much as we would love to, and we know it's not going to be Ben Affleck either. So it's going to be interesting to see what they're going to utilize going forward. So Batman issue number 131. I guess that does it for the, I guess we're caught up with the past 2 months worth of comic pickups. Once again, these are just books that I picked up that are significant. Of course, your mileage may vary. And if you have books that I should consider in my next pickup, let me know in the comments below. I'll definitely pass it along to our sponsors, Famous Faces and Docking Bay 94, as far as having those issues added to my pull list. This is just a fun way for us to sit down, talk comics. I have, a retro game in the background. I'm still working on, what is this? Ace Combat number 5. So this is the PlayStation 2. I've been playing the Ace Combat number 6 on Xbox 360. And boy, like, I love, we talked about planes in an earlier episode, and just those games are just awesome. But anyway, stay tuned. We're going to have our first EGX unboxing. We haven't done one in a few months. I will bring everybody up to speed as far as what's going down in the house of EGS. A lot of good stuff, and some stuff that is just a snag in the journey. But I wanted to bring that to everyone's attention so they have a better understanding of what's going on moving forward. We also have another PGX unboxing. I didn't do last month, just like I didn't do the comic book pickup, thanks to the broken finger, as well as other stuff. But boy, do we have PGX bombarded me with books. So I'm just going to pick out 5, and then we'll just kind of pace ourselves, because I got everything back at once, which is absolutely amazing. Like the Batman, I'm just going to say the first appearance of Damian Wayne in Batman. I sent it away a month ago, and I already got it back. Graded, pressed, everything. So talk about a fast turnaround time. I was shocked to see that book, along with the many others in this recent delivery. So we have EGS unboxing and PGX unboxing. So this is a great opportunity to break away from the CGC corporate shenanigans, but more importantly, it's just a cool way to look at some cool books, have fun, and reminisce. So once again, this is Shabu Are You. Thanks for watching. We'll see you in the next episode of Codename Newtavero 2. Take care.
Okay, so obviously this is an add-on. I was in the middle of editing and I forgot to add these books that I picked up at Famous Faces and Funnies. So let's start. The first one is the new Draculina series, and of course the cover is what attracted me. It looks like a classic 1950s pinup type cover, and I know, like, I'm a big sucker for sexy hot covers, so this one definitely caught my eye, obviously. And I just know that the Draculina series has been, I read a few of the first ones. I sent in that one issue that was an homage to Jim Lee X-Men number 6, done by our good friend John Royal. So I have to say that the Draculina series is really interesting and a lot of fun. So it's not just all, TNA. It has some substance as well. So that includes that. And the next book I picked up was, I've been jumping back into Batman again. So this is a variant cover with Selena Kyle. And then you see in the very end of the Batman and Catwoman relationship. Now, she had spun off into her own series, leaving Batman to form her own identity That was way back in Catwoman #1. I think that came out in 2018 because they were supposed to get married and the wedding got like kind of axed, and then uh, the whole three Jokers and the whole a lot of shit punchline came in and everything. So I don't know where they are in this point. I have the issue before this and this one, so I'm kind of interested in jumping back into Batman. I mean, you can't go wrong in a pool run if you have Spider-Man and Batman as your two main things. I just jump in and out, and I know Batman and Spider-Man were my childhood like go-tos. Not so much now as an adult. Like it's kind of like you dip in and you dip out. You dip in, you dip out, like jumping in a pool. So I'm kind of interested to resume this current arc of Batman once again. And I've been picking up, you saw, is all those older Batmans. So why not jump back into some new Batman? And the second to last book I picked up was Gun Honey. I picked up an issue earlier. The covers are phenomenal, and I know they're like excellent artwork inside. It's just one of those things that is so well done. It's a nice grown-up spy type of mystery suspense, James Bond like as type of scenarios. So this would be my second issue of Gun Honey, um, and the cover or the burlesque cover was definitely something that interested me. And then to add on to the Amazing Spider-Man, I picked up, well, it was part of my pool run, ASM #25. So I have 18, no, was it issue 17 to 25 to catch up to. But this is the variant homage to Amazing Fantasy 15. So you can't go wrong with the homage to Amazing Fantasy 15. So that now does it for this month's pickup video. And again, thanks for watching. And we have EGS unboxing and PGX to go through. The EGS, I've been leaking sneak previews across G.I. Joe Facebook groups and then on my Instagram. So they are just fire. I mean, I got to tip my hat to Tony and EGS. They did a phenomenal job. It was well worth the wait. So I am so excited. We're probably going to do a PGX first and then an EGS unboxing. Try and aim that to be a Friday weekend episode. So 2 more episodes coming up of unboxing comic goodness for you guys to join in, and I'm looking forward to that. We'll see you next time. Bye-bye.